Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate Right Now. We talk about real estate matters that matter to you. My name is Jay Izzo, and we are live here from Linda Craft Team Studios here in Raleigh, North Carolina, part of the Greater Research Triangle Park. Today's show, luxury and ultra luxury. What should you know? It's a very different market when we talk about luxury and ultra luxury, especially in the Triangle. You may be watching us from another market, and you may say, well, that's not our luxury. It's either way higher than our luxury. You may say, well, that's way lower in our luxury market. And the truth is that depending on your market, luxury can mean, and ultra luxury can mean very different things. So if you're in San Francisco, what we call ultra luxury here in the Research Triangle Park may not look like or may not sound like ultra luxury. But then if you're in Nebraska, where I'm originally from, you'll go, we don't have anything like that in our market. And so it would be really, really ultra luxury. So in today's show, I invited back our good friend, Tony Fink, senior listing and buyer expert here with Linda Craft Team Realtors. Welcome back.
Thanks, Jay. It's great to be here in 2026.
So let's just start this way when it comes to the market in general, because I think people, when they say luxury or ultra luxury, especially in our market, what are we referring to when we say that here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll answer that, and I'll give perspective on why classifying or segmenting you to the market makes sense as well. So in the greater Wake County market, which is, or I should say Wake County, greater Raleigh market, the median home price in December of 2025 was $455,000. Okay. The beginning of the year 2025, it was $450,000, and the average over the course of the year, due to some seasonality, was about $465,000. Okay. So if you're thinking about $500,000 as sort of your median, in our market, luxury used to start at about $750,000 for single-family residential. It now really starts probably at $1 million, but more like $1.2 million to call it $2 million would be the space that I would call luxury. Okay. And luxury in our market has grown tremendously since 2018 with significant more available inventory as far as product, as well as buyer profile. And that all mirrors what's happened with our demographics and our income profiles. So when you go from luxury to what I call ultra luxury. Ultra luxury is really going to start at $2.5 million and up. Okay. Very rarefied air. So the importance in understanding where your property will be positioned in the market and why the bands of pricing matter is the more ultra, the more selective, the more unique your property is, obviously the lower demand quotient you're going to have, the shorter or smaller buyer pool. And that really puts an emphasis and a premium on how the property is presented to the market.
There's some uniqueness, though, about luxury, ultra luxury properties that are quite unique compared to what we would see as what we would call the average median home. What are some of those things that make things ultra luxury or luxury? What are some of those things that are different than, you know, our median priced home that we might not see?
Sure. Great question. So they're going to have bedrooms, they're going to have bathrooms, they're going to have closets, they're going to have, you know, all that stuff. Normally the first differentiator is just going to be absolute price, right? And then you're moving into, which is what I think you're thinking about, features. Right. What are the features of the homes? So the scale and the size of an ultra luxury home typically will be much broader. I don't know what the median home size is in greater Raleigh, but it's probably around 2,500 square feet. Okay. When you start getting into 3 million, 4 million, you're easily at 7,000 square feet, 8,000 square feet. So a lot more square footage. And then the features within the home, pools, garage counts, scale of the garage as far as space, location, of course, elevators, type of windows, outdoor living, indoor living. And then you get into properties that have unique qualities like one-off sports courts, indoor basketball courts, indoor pools, indoor racquetball. I haven't seen indoor pickleball yet, but maybe that's coming soon.
It's coming.
And then, you know, the kind of the natural things that you would expect to see in an ultra luxury home that, you know, are kind of like check off the box. Yeah, it's there. Home theater, gym space, very large master or primary closets, sometimes separate bath facilities in the primary.
Right.
So his and hers
Right.
actual setup.
Okay. So, all right. So we know that there's features that are going to be very different than what we would typically think about as the median priced home. And then beyond that, there's certain challenges that you've alluded to. One of the challenges has been, first of all, the buyer pool for that size home is smaller for that. And we don't have, we are growing in luxury and ultra luxury, but there's not as many of those out. So tell us about the challenges you face when it comes to presenting an ultra luxury or luxury home. What are some of your challenges that you have, because you do know that you have a smaller market that's looking at the home. So that presents some challenges. Talk about some of those challenges for you.
Yeah, I will. And that's a great question. So there's probably 3 or 4 different levels of challenge, and we'll go through those. But ultimately, when you hire someone to list your property in a firm, really what you're encouraging or needing from them is to drive demand.
Right.
Economics is very simple, supply and demand, right?
Absolutely.
And then when it comes into the ultra luxury space, interest rates don't really matter that much.
Right.
But what does matter is what I could refer to as the wealth effect. How are the relative financial markets doing? How's the stock market doing? How's the bond market doing? I know crypto is really not that big, but how's the crypto market doing? That may play more in a San Francisco market, a Miami market. So understanding those aspects are super important to drive demand. When it comes to luxury, though, some of the challenges are obviously, how do you position your home to attract a limited buyer pool? Okay. How do you appeal to the psychology of that buyer? And then from, my role as the professional hired on behalf of the seller, in this case, I work with buyers and sellers as well, helping them understand that some aspects of an ultra luxury home may be heavily personalized and they may not transfer to the next buyer. They could, in fact, be a hindrance to the next buyer. Not everybody wants an indoor swimming pool inside their house, right? So just understanding those and being very delicate, very respectful, but very honest and transparent about some of these things are things that you did for you. But remember, when you built this house or you bought this house or you remodeled this house, well, your buyer is going to be thinking the same way. When you're spending $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, $6 million on a property in this market, you want what you want.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to compromise because you don't really have to.
All right. So then that sounds to me that the seller of luxury and ultra luxury has to have a different mindset. So that, to me, it sounds like, okay, I customized this home for me. It was completely customized, which is why it's priced at what it's priced. And there's a lot of extra things that a lot of homes, most homes, nearly all the homes don't have, that I built in for me. So if somebody's going to sell a luxury or ultra luxury home, what has to kind of be their thought process in terms of, okay, these are some of the adjustments I need to make in my mind in order to get there, understanding how the house is going to sell?
Yeah. So, and that's really a primary role for me as their, fiduciary in helping them understand. So what I do notice in the ultra luxury space is most of the sellers are very astute professionals. Okay. So they're very rational. And a lot of it comes into understanding their personality, building that rapport and that trust between each other. It's a two-way street. They have to trust you and you have to trust them. But it's, the old analogy, there's no ugly baby. You have to be very delicate when you point out something that was really a dream for somebody in either a feature or design aesthetic, and help them understand that that may or may not transfer to the next person. So I think it's sort of a little bit of a process, Jay, that you go through when you talk about it. And the way I handle it is really answering their questions first. What's your perspective on the market? What is your knowledge? What is your thoughts? What is your neighborhood like? A lot of these are gated communities, private communities, golf course views, water views, all those aspects. But really just through consultation and talking, really just conversation, understanding where their head's at, and then helping them understand what's happened in the market.
You and I have batted around this idea of the RFP.
Yes, the acronym.
Right, the acronym for the Residential Financial Planner.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, because just a second, how it applies here, because it is a very different market. It's a very unique market. It has a can I say it has a longer incubation period on the market before we get to close. So as a residential financial planner, what do you have to do, and how are you thinking about that from that perspective of the financial planning as a real estate agent?
Yeah, I love that, and I appreciate the question. And the acronym really sort of condenses down the three major components that a listing agent needs to help their clients understand before you hit the market. So RFP, right? We all know what an RFP is. We all know what a CFP is, Certified Financial Planner. If you think of the analogy or the correlation to the wealth effect, what's going on in the financial markets, that's why this is a really good way to phrase it. So the R stands for real estate, of course, right? Well, what do we mean by real estate? Well, first, understanding the depth and breadth of the market over whatever defined period of time. For ultra luxury, 2 years is a window to go back and look and give your clients an expectation of what's been working in the market. Okay. Again, you're using data to help influence the thought process and the decision process, because every property is different. In the ultra luxury space, it's very different.
Right.
Okay. So the real estate piece is really understanding what's transpired. As an example, when I do a traditional listing for, call it a $500,000 to $600,000 house, and Jay knows this about me, I'm very data driven, because I think data really gives you the way to chart a path for success, and then the different aspects, the qualitative more than the quantitative, come into play as well. So for a traditional or typical home for me, 3 to 4 hours of data research.
Wow.
For an ultra luxury, easily 10.
Okay.
Because it's really diving into each property in macro, then comparing each property that transacted against your property to see where the differences are and the similarities are. Location, features, size, bedroom, design aesthetic. In our market, we don't have a lot of Mediterranean design. We don't have a lot of stucco, but you do find a lot of that in the ultra luxury. Yeah. So that's sort of the big piece on the R.
Right.
The P piece is the planner, right?
Right.
How do we plan to present your property, make the best first impression, manage the behavioral nature of a buyer, right? You got to put your buyer hat on as a seller, so you can plan for execution. Okay. This is all before you've had showings, offers, or anything like that. And then on the finance piece, so I skipped that, but it's real estate. The financial impact is really understanding with your client what's a logical marketing time. Okay. So it is not uncommon for a resale or a new construction ultra luxury home to be on the market a year.
Right.
Well, a year is a long time.
Yeah.
So on the financial piece, it's as me as a fiduciary truly understanding what their motivations are for selling. Right. If somebody is selling their dream home, something's happening.
Right.
They've had a change in family situation. Oftentimes it's a new career opportunity that just can't be passed up.
And they're moving somewhere else.
And so again, factoring into, okay, if it takes a year to sell, but you need to be out of here tomorrow, do you need the money out of this house to go where you're going? What's the carry costs? I mean, I have, some ultra luxury properties that I've done in the past where, the carry costs are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 grand a month.
Yeah.
So, you factor all that piece in, and that's sort of a quick snapshot on the RFP component.
So there's a difficulty that I have to assume that you that you need to educate the seller onto is the appraisal process, because there's just not as many properties available in the appraisal process. So I'm assuming there's a lot, there has to be some guessing as to, because there's nothing to compare it to. So how does that process play out? Because you just can't bring an appraiser and go, oh, well, we're going to compare 3 comparable properties when it's $5.8 million.
Right.
So how does that play into your RFP game book? Because that's certainly got to be a part of it.
Well, it plays into the R piece and the P piece. But actually, Jay is going to be stumped when I tell him I don't really care about the appraisal.
Really?
We're talking ultra luxury. A lot of these are cash purchases. A lot of these are leveraging other assets, borrowing on a portfolio. So to your point, though, which would apply if and when it is appraised, okay?
Right.
And appraisers in ultra luxury space are going to know that there's some unique qualities. Really, it's talking through with the client pricing strategy. And how do you price this house to know that you've got a reasonable price that will attract demand? Because I can take a $5 million house and list it for 10.
Right.
Right? Because it could be worth 10.
It could be, yeah.
But if my analytics, my 10, 15, 20 hours of data research tell me it's a $5 million property, then at 10, it's just going to sit. So there's a couple different pricing strategies that are used by super experienced real estate agents. And the first is called aspirational pricing.
Okay.
The second is called perceived value, or market value is what agents call it. And then the third is called event-based pricing. For highly unique, let's say ultra luxury, aspirational pricing is the one I use. And you can say, Tony, that's a cute word. Yeah, it is, but it's aspirational. So what we're doing there is we're defining the market. And again, remember, the clients make the decisions.
Right.
Now, I won't knowingly take on a listing that won't transact, because that's going to disappoint the clients and frustrate them. And that's a year's worth of frustration. That's not fair to them. So I think giving them very transparent, honest, supportive guidance is the way to go. But with aspirational pricing, what I encourage and recommend is we price at the upper level of what we think is reasonable. Okay. Why would you do that? Well, I'm not, nobody's got a clear crystal ball.
Right.
And with aspirational pricing, what you do is you put in a sequential or a strategic price adjustment. It's very much like, going back to the CFP analogy, the finance analogy, it's almost like an IPO, an initial public offering. And if you're familiar with those, the company, before they go public, hires their investment bankers, their listing agent, and they go out and they present to the market. Well, again, that's what we do. But they ultimately are trying to find what's called price equilibrium.
Right.
So when you have ultra luxury, or there's like a celebrity factor, like if Jay were ever to sell his house, right, there'd be a huge celebrity factor in the podcast world. So you don't know what that X factor is. So you start off at the highest possible number you think is reasonable, unless there's some other motivating factors for the sellers. That's the financial piece. And then you move it down, so, strategically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. I'm actually got a picture here of one of the listings that you currently have up right now. And there are going to be people who are listening to this on podcast, so they aren't going to be able to see that picture eventually. But those who are watching us live on all the stations, we appreciate you doing that. This house is very unique with this picture. If we could give the audience just kind of a brief description of this house and this listing.
Sure.
Because this is an aerial drone shot that you've taken, and it looks very, very Italian, Tuscan, Mediterranean. Have I hit all those words correctly?
You've hit them perfectly. And if for those listening, I'll describe it to you. So this home is a ultra luxury listing that we actually put on the market, Linda Craft Team Realtors, in December. And this home is a little over 13,000 square feet. Okay. And it has a lot of main level living, which is fantastic. It's got an amazing flow. And when you hear 13,000 square feet, this is Mediterranean design. It's CBS block, poured concrete foundation, has a full basement. This is a unique property in our market because typically basement homes here that have a walkout component are on a sloped lot. Now the lot may be leveled. This is a flat lot.
Right.
They actually dug down.
Yeah.
This home has got barrel tile roof, which is very unique for our area. Now, in my days in South Florida, you see a ton of these.
Right.
But you don't see a ton of these in the Triangle area of North Carolina.
Right.
The barrel tile roof is gorgeous. And Jay just moved to another aerial photo that actually shows a very unique sports court. That sports court is 2 stories down into the earth.
Right.
And there's a walkout from the basement.
Let's go to that. I'm gonna flip over to that sports court.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, looks like they have a pickleball court.
It is a full pickleball court, so you can have a tournament. You can play a great game of horse if you can get MJ to show up.
That's awesome.
So this is an example of a really unique property. And what's really cool about this home, it was very thoughtfully designed, and it's got a great flow to it. So it has fantastic formal entertaining feel, but in a very intimate, comfortable feel. So I call it sort of casual elegance. And another unique feature of this property, which we don't have a picture of, but it's got 2 walls of window in the main living area. So where the family room and the kitchen are, the walls are actually window doors that fully recess.
Right. Right. Okay. We're shooting on a picture of the foyer as you go into this house. Can we say where the house is at and what's listed at?
Yeah, sure. This home is listed for $5.6 million. It's in Durham, but it's really right in the heart of the Durham Chapel Hill area. Okay. Great location. It is in the Mead of Val subdivision, which is a very unique, I call them pocket subdivisions. Okay. It's not overly large. It is gated, which is a nice feature when you're in this ultra luxury space. You got beautiful marble tiling in this home. It's really a masterpiece. This home was built, and I'm going by memory, I apologize. I believe this home was finished in 2008, 2009. Okay. We have another one to show you that was finished more in 2020, 2021. And you can see the difference in architecture. But on this photo too, things I look for in ultra luxury, I love circular driveways. Right. Okay. I love not driving up and seeing a garage door. Right. So you have some presence. And what's really nice about this property as well is it's elevated. So while it's a flat lot, it's a couple feet above the street level. So it's got real prominence when you're there.
So this footprint in terms of how big the property it's on, how much land is this particular property?
Great question. This is 3.3 acres.
Oh, so it's on.
So this is a big piece of property for an in-city essentially location. Right. Now, city, for those of you not in the Triangle area, city is in a proximity choice of words on my part. It's not in a city.
Right. So we're pulling up another home here that you have currently listed. How much is this? Where's this home and how much is this listed at?
Yeah, so this is probably one of the premier North Raleigh subdivisions. So very close to the airport, very close to downtown Raleigh, very close to the Research Triangle, easy to get around. This home is in Avalair. Avalair is, as I mentioned, just it's one of the highest performing communities, especially when it was built. And the reason for that is the developers of the land were very smart in how much impervious coverage they align to each house.
Explain that for the listener and the viewer.
Yeah, and for the listeners, you're staring at an aerial photo of this property. And impervious is how much of the lot is covered by surface that does not allow water to penetrate. In impervious coverage, all the municipalities have certain ratios, and it impacts your ability to do things like pools, or add-on, or cabana house, or an auxiliary dwelling unit, or whatever you might want to do. So when this developer put it together, they over-allocated to each property, which meant they did additional off-site or stormwater management. Impervious is all about protecting the watershed. Right. And for this home, behind it is actually a water feature in the community, which is a retention pond, but it looks like a small lake.
Looks like a small lake. Yeah.
And it's got a beautiful fountain, which you can see from the backside of our property.
Right.
This listing just hit yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And this is listed for $3,750,000.
Wow.
And it is over 7,600 square feet. Has 4 true bedrooms, but lives like 5 or 6 bedrooms.
Okay.
In North Carolina, your bedroom count is covered by or governed by septic if you have a septic permit.
Let's talk about pools and luxury and ultra luxury, because I think it's kind of an expectation. Am I wrong there? Is that in the luxury, ultra luxury, that there's probably going to be some sort of a pool or a really nice either indoor or outdoor?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. And the first home is pool ready. So in presenting it, one of the things we did is we did an AI generated view of a luxury in-ground pool.
Got it.
The owners didn't have a need for a pool, but when the home was built, it was excavated and prepared and prepped so that a pool could easily be put in.
Got it.
This home, what we're looking at here, this is the home in Avalair. This is 1008 Enchanted Pine Lane. The first one was 16 Portofino Place. This pool was built by my clients after they bought the home. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they were lucky to get one of the best luxury home pool builders in the area. And what's really neat about this is you've got it's hard to tell in the photo, but really nice hardscape or, lounge area around the pool.
Right.
It's got all the things you would want to see with like uplighting and LED controlled color lights. It has an in-pool hot tub, i.e. spa. Typically, they're set above the pool and then flow into the pool.
This one's not.
This one's in the pool. So this is the second home I've had the privilege to list that has this, concept. Same pool builder. That if you're looking at it online, you see like 2 little water jets and they raise up in size. But it's also got a waterfall fill, which has both a sheer waterfall that comes out of that main custom tile work. But then it's got 2 distinct waterfalls that come out of fire pits.
Got it.
So this pool is, for lack of better words, sexy as hell, heated. And then this is a first for me. It actually has a electronically controlled pool cover that's recessed under the pool deck. You flip a switch and it comes out automatically.
Really?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. So keeps the...
That's a luxury pool designer right there who thought about everything.
Yeah, and I don't have the exact figure, but this pool's well into the 6 figures to build.
Right. Wow. So when people are looking and are interested in the go, because there's people who are watching and going to be listening going, man, that just sounds so cool. How do the marketing work? Like how are we marketing this in a way that we're attracting the right type of people who may be interested in this property?
Yeah, so great question. I'll talk about some of the collateral materials we do, but also talk about, marketing. A lot of folks are beginning to realize that when you list your house, your first showing is actually online. Okay. So, you need to have the home present itself as well as possible. And my clients were very flexible and agreeable. And we did some things in the 1008 Enchanted Pine home, really just with paint colors to return it back to sort of more of a neutral palette. And again, when you have your personal home, and especially if you have a luxury or ultra luxury home, you're going to personalize it. And sometimes that can be paint colors that are strong or different things. And that home is staged as well. Pricing, though, Jay, is one of the main things that we talked about, and then I'll get into the collaterals. The home at 16 Portofino Place, again, 20 hours worth of work in pricing that one because it's truly a unique property. If that property had the same pool that the one we just showed had, that would be over $6 million.
Right.
So what we've done there is we've accommodated for perhaps the view of a lack of pool being a negative. It's not always, because pools require a lot of capital and a lot of work.
Absolutely.
Or, just giving the new owner the opportunity to build their dream pool. Okay. So we priced it accordingly. On the collateral materials, it really comes down to walking the home and really understanding what works in ultra luxury. For traditional listings, there's standard photo shots that we know get the most attraction. For luxury and ultra luxury, you want to showcase some of the features that are unique to the property. So for the house at 1008, one of the cool features with that is the front door. So we did a front door shot, and then we did a reverse shot from inside that had the front door open, which is, I think, a picture Jay's going to pull up.
Yeah, we're going to pull that up.
And you notice there that that's a custom, very expensive metal door fabricated with no hinges. So the collateral material with ultra luxury, it just is the same as a traditional listing, but just on steroids like everything else. It's a little bit bigger. So for this home, obviously I do social media. I'll do a walking tour of the home, which usually get the most amount of hits. People love to take looks at properties. You can't get in either of these properties unless you're a verified, vetted buyer.
Oh, that's a great point. That is a really great point that people need to know. You can't just go to your agent, go, I want to look at this home. You're going to have to be completely vetted and verified.
Right. And that's a standard that I have and our firm has to protect the privacy and really protect the property.
Sure. Because
everybody would like to see one.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you're security conscious, if you want to maintain the importance of your property, if you're living in the home, right, obviously it's a huge inconvenience. So the collateral materials, obviously we do videos. We do phenomenal exterior drone shots. We do indoor, outdoor. If you notice in this property, if you see it online, and again, you can see this on all of the public sites. I won't mention the Zillow word. Oops, I just did. But this is showcased on Zillow, so you can look up 1008 Enchanted Pine Lane in Raleigh, North Carolina, and see it. That's all extra marketing we do. Three-dimensional interactive floor plans. We have 2 interactive floor plans for this home. And then putting together some, what I call promo videos. Mm-hmm. So we actually had our digital marketing company assist us in creating some AI-generated video, which really looks like a trailer for a movie. It's a trailer for the property. Right. But it was all AI generated based on still photography, but it has motion. Right. It's really cool.
It is very, very cool. There's another piece about this I'd love you to address, because in this particular marketplace, with this particular market, there's also a thing about confidentiality. Mm-hmm. That's extremely important. Talk about the importance of the confidentiality, because oftentimes sellers in these price range want to keep themselves, keep it pretty much on the down low and not necessarily want to let their selves be known in the marketplace for a variety of reasons. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So the confidentiality comes in a couple plays. And what you just said is a natural reaction. Like, Tony, I want to sell this house, but I really don't want to broadcast it. And it's like, right, well, the two don't work.
Right.
Right. So the reality between how homes typically get purchased, and especially luxury and ultra luxury, is they're going to be found through the MLS, the multiple listing service. Right. The buyers are going to most likely be working with a professional, experienced agent. So you do need to actually have it publicly listed. Okay.
Good point.
In both of these circumstances, both owners wanted maximum exposure,
right,
limited access. Okay. Neither you or I, Jay, even together, could afford to buy either of these homes. So we can't go see them,
right,
as a buyer.
Right.
That's intentional. That's controlled access. And that's because, look, it's whatever the words are, it's not an open house, right?
Right.
So in both cases, these clients wanted maximum exposure with controlled access. We put that in place. So most showings, or all showings, require at least 24 hours notice.
Right.
They require me as their agent to have reviewed the information, understand a little bit about the buyer, and verify their financial capabilities.
Got it.
So those are big pieces. The other piece on confidentiality, and this may come into play more with celebrity type properties, mm-hmm, or homes that have extreme high value contents. Okay.
Mm,
So I have a client right now that custom built a house, built an amazing home theater that was almost a third of the price of the house. Okay. Lots of original artwork.
yeah.
So this person is wrestling with the idea of, I might sell, but I really don't want everyone coming through my house.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out how to control that. But if there's a huge celebrity factor, and I know our firm was privileged to list at the time a retired NFL coach's home in our market.
Yeah.
When it's ultra confidential and ultra, I don't know what the right word would be. What can happen is the listing agent has to be there for the showings.
Right.
I will tell you, Jay, that seems like a great idea, but agents are typically licensed and vetted and bonded.
Right.
And if you're looking to spend $6 million on a house, you're going to have done your research on the agent's skills that you've hired to represent you. So ultimately, having a buyer agent accompanied by the seller's agent creates a little bit of a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
And I had a listing a couple years ago that was a $5.9 million listing, another 13,000 square foot, beautiful home, private community. And the owners required me, and I offered, of course, to attend every showing. I will tell you that created a little bit of a dynamic that was uncomfortable. So what I did is talked with the buyer's agent ahead of time, said, how do you want me to do this? Do you want me to stay in the backgrounds? And most of them said, no, Tony, you know the house better than anybody. If you don't mind showcasing the house and touring us through it, but let me answer questions. So that's a collaboration.
Yeah. So I think that's an important thing too, is to say, okay, yes, because we've seen this before where, the listing agent has to be at the house, when there's a showing, right? Protecting the client. I get that part of it. But there is a cooperative factor that generally can happen in this thing like you just presented. And that is, I'll be there. I'll explain to you the different features of the house, but then I'm getting out of the way because it's your client. And I think that's really, needs to be clear for people too, that it can work. But it still is uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable for the listing agent to be there with somebody else's client and another agent. And it really is uncomfortable for, that prospective buyer and that agent, because, typically you walk around the house, when I was showing houses, right? You walk around the house and you're talking about, things that maybe you like or you don't like. And it's kind of a private conversation between the agents, right? So there's certainly a little bit of discomfort there, but it is a way that a lot of times in these ultra luxury homes, it is done. I'm not going to say all the time, but it
used to be done a lot
less now, though, I think.
Well, and again, I would say to anybody, if you're in the ultra luxury space, it's just like if you have a doctor, you've got to trust their guidance. So what I did in both instances, and I'm very detail oriented. I want to give the other side as much information to help them make an informed decision. I represent my client. So I find my presence can not be a positive. I don't think the listing agent should be at the showings unless there's some super unique aspect, like you're leaving Super Bowl rings on your kitchen table, right? Or diamonds or things like that. But what I do is I create Tony's tip sheet. So I send anyone who's been approved for a showing a tip sheet to just help them of like, hey, make sure you notice something. I'll talk in the abstract. This is not about the two properties we just talked about. Oftentimes in ultra luxury, you're going to have safes, you're going to have panic rooms, you're going to have safe rooms, right? Well, that's not stuff you want to disclose, right? You don't want the world knowing about that. Those things are there to prevent things from happening. A lot of my ultra luxury clients are super security conscious. So we're very careful about floor plans or what they see or can't see. They approve everything that goes out. But the tip sheet, and it's preceded by a phone call with the agent about like, hey, anything I can share with you about the neighborhood? Are you familiar with XYZ neighborhood? Anything I could share with you. And if there's any tidbits I know, I offer those out so to help them with their showing.
I don't know if we've missed anything. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of covering it. if I have missed anything, I'm going to give you an opportunity to expound on anything we missed. But if you were to wrap all this up into a tight little neat bow, what would be the wrap up of when it comes to luxury and ultra luxury?
Yeah, so the wrap up with luxury and ultra luxury is it's just the normal process on steroids, right? And understanding that you have a more limited market, understanding the depth and breadth of that market, pricing accordingly to attract interest at a price which is enough for you to say yes, but not too much. You know, these aren't vanity plays, right? No one's going to pay you 10 million for a 5 million in my analogy. Right. So that's really the big piece. And then, you know, do your homework. One thing I always recommend to people is in our market, if the median home price is $455,000, there aren't a whole lot of $5 million houses that sell.
Right.
So you really want to understand the process of your agent, how they come about.
Right.
Not do they look great in a V-neck sweater.
Although you do.
Because thank you. There aren't, Jay and I joked a little bit about this. You can't make a career on ultra luxury, but ultra luxury can make a career.
Absolutely.
So you're going to do 1, 2, 3 in every 2 or 3 years if you're lucky.
Right.
So don't be skewed by the fact, well, this person only does ultra luxury. You really want to understand what's their metrics, their thought process.
Right.
How do they understand the market?
Yeah, this is great, Tony. Thank you so much for doing this today. It was awesome.
My pleasure. And again, make sure you reach out to Linda Craft Team Realtors. My name's Tony Fink. I am at 919-986-4146. I would welcome any calls to discuss. It doesn't matter if you're a client or not. I'll share my knowledge. I've got 37 plus years of experience in real estate. It's a privilege to work with every client. It's a responsibility for every client. So our information is available. Love to chat with you. And then Jay, it is kind of football season, right?
It is, yes.
And there is a little bit of a college game coming
Monday,
up, right?
Yeah.
And my favorite team isn't in it, but one is. So I just want to change the narrative if this doesn't mess up your pod.
Not at all.
I am from the 305, but it's not about the U. It's about the IU. My son goes to IU.
So instead of go Irish, it's go Indiana. So it's a different I.
Go Indiana, go Crimson, go Beaver, whatever analogy they're using these days.
That's awesome. Well, Tony, thank you so much for doing this for me. Folks, just to show you know what I say to you every week. You had a lot of choices. You chose us. I appreciate you doing that. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube, wherever you're listening to the show. Give us a 5-star review. And more importantly, tell your friends about the show and have them tune in as well. We enjoyed having you. We are thankful for you. And, you know, as I say to you every week, you know, it's the same thing. Ciao, everybody.